Everyone, it's Dave here at Blue Bears Games one more time. $20 budget decks. However, for this round, the con is coming up that I'm going to start selling these at. It's coming up in 2 days. You guys won't get this video until probably either the day of or the day after the con. But this will be the last one of this round. I will be going back to making new, more inventive decks for the budget series, but there will not be another one coming up for quite some time. When I say quite some time, I mean I have to get them made. I have to come up with the ideas and get them made, so it may be about a month or two before the next actual budget deck series comes out. I have to see how Standard fleshes out so I can see how I can make a budget version of those decks. Same thing with Modern, and now I have to go and look at Pioneer decks and see what budget versions of these decks I can make, or what budget versions of any decks I can make. So yes, my inspiration comes from those formats just to get a jumping off point. So this is the last one for now. I will be back as soon as I've come up with a whole bunch of decks. I already have 9 fleshed out in my head, and I'll go ahead and I'll get them made as soon as I get the decks made. So this one is Ultimate Warriors. I struggled with the name of this deck. This deck was more just supposed to be a red-white, I guess, aggro deck, and I wanted it to be Warriors because I like to do tribal sometimes. So that's what this one is. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Alright, so our 1-drops are the following. First one is Sumberwald Vigilante. It's a 1 to cast 1/1 that whenever he becomes blocked by a creature, he deals a damage to that creature. So that eliminates the chump blocking of 1/1s, even though he's only 1/1 himself. They'll think about blocking with up to 2 toughness creatures with him, just because he'll be able to do the extra damage. Grim Initiate was a nice addition from the War of the Spark. It is a 1 to cast 1/1 first striker, and that itself would have been plenty, but the great thing about him is if he does die, he leaves behind droppings, a 1/1 zombie token, just because. So I thought he was a nice addition. Went ahead and threw him in there. Next up is Dragon Hunter. He's in here not for his abilities, but because he's a 1 to cast 2/1, also a warrior. However, he does have 2 abilities. He has Protection for Dragons. Not sure how relevant that would be in any format because dragons just really haven't been a thing. But he's got it, so it's an added bonus for a 1 to cast 2/1. He also can block dragons as though it had reach. Again, not really all that relevant most of the time, unless your opponent's Timmy and he's playing Shivan Dragons. This guy here is a little nifty when it comes to the combat tricks that I'm about to show you, because the rest of the deck, when he's out, just flies through things. So he is Vigilance, and he gives other warriors you control Vigilance. That's important because the rest of the ones I'm going to show you have an ability that's really important for, okay? So he's a bear. He's a 2 to cast 2/2, but he gives your others Vigilance, and that's going to be important. Alright. Cruin Striker is a 2 to cast 2/1. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, he himself gets +1/+0 and trample until end of turn. So it's important to know that the trample is to get the damage through. He also, because he only has 1 toughness, will die a lot, but that will not matter, and I'll show you why in a second. I added this in because of a card I added to the deck later. I saw a couple of little neat, nifty combos to do, and I'll show you that in a second, but let me go over this one. This one is a Modern Masters edition. When I opened them up, I saw it, and I was like, that goes great into a deck if I can find a way to keep doing something with them, and I found it. So he has Echo, and Echo is basically during your upkeep you have to pay his mana cost, or the cost of the Echo, or you have to sacrifice him for the most part. Okay, he has the ability that when he dies, you can deal 2 damage to a player or a planeswalker. Not a creature. It's sad that it wasn't to any target, but you'll see why this is important in a minute. Now, also realize he's a 2 to cast, 3/2. It's important because if we can find a way to harness that third 3 power, he's actually pretty beefy for a 2 to cast. So, put 2 of those in. Now, the combos that I'm talking about. These guys dying doesn't matter because of the combo that he has with the Vigilance. Okay? He is a 3 to cast, 3/2 that says when you exert him, you can exert him, and exerting means that you can do everything and then do an ability, and then he just doesn't untap during your next untap phase. He can return a creature with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield when he's exerted. So, I will show you this real quick. So, he has Vigilance. If he has Vigilance, he doesn't tap to attack. You can still exert him and get something back from your grave. What I have in here is a nice little combo of a Grim Initiate, so when he dies, he leaves behind a 1/1 zombie that if you keep returning him back, he either makes it bigger or keeps creating a 1/1. And then you have the Crone Striker, who is going to be for lack of a better term, your kamikaze. You're just going to keep attacking with him because he's, you're going to put a creature into play. Now remember that says whenever another creature enters the battlefield, it does not say cast. He gets +1/+0. And trample. And then him. The combo is that if you have the Devoted Crop Mate with Vigilance, you put him out, he's going to continually come into play, and either you're going to use him to attack with the 3 power, or you're going to let him just die from not paying the echo, and he's going to keep doing 2 damage. So, Devoted Crop Mate is the fuel, along with giving him Vigilance to make it so you can do it every turn. The fact that he's a 3/2 doesn't hurt it either. The other part, On-Crop Crasher is another 3/2 that you can exert. Now remember, when they have haste, when they have Vigilance, they don't tap, so their ability doesn't really happen to be affected all that much with the not untapping. When he does, you can have target creature not block. He also has haste, so he could be a nice little surprise if you have the other 2 creatures out. He can be hasty, vigilant, and he won't actually be bothered by his exert cost. The next part is a 2 to cast, 3/2. So a lot of these creatures are pretty well costed for their power and toughness. Whenever Honored Crop Captain attacks, other attacking creatures get +1/+0, so now you're getting more attack added to it. So there's a lot going on here, and you have to keep track of it, but he makes things beefier in attack, so just keep that in mind. He is really good for this. I've put in here some prison-style effects so that you can get through. The first one was a playset of pacifism so that your opponent's creatures can't block or attack, so it helps keep you alive and helps you get through. Oblivion Ring, this is for troublesome things besides creatures. You don't want to use these on creatures unless you absolutely have to. This gets rid of non-land permanents. That includes Planeswalkers, because you never know what's going to come across the other side. Planeswalkers are really good targets for Oblivion Rings. I put some direct damage in here. The direct damage is for spot removal of opposing creatures that are a problem, or if you need that, last couple bits of damage to get through on your opponent to win the game, you go directly to the dome. Got a playset of those because it deals 3. I put a playset of shocks in just because it's 1 to cast, it's an instant, and does 2 damage to anything. It's hard to beat that. And then the last one is Incinerates. Same thing as the Annihilating Fire, but it's a little bit cheaper to cast, and it deals 3 damage to anything. The other little tech that I put in here was Oketra's Monument. the white creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast isn't all that important, just because it's not really doing too much. It's the part that whenever you cast a creature spell, you create a 1/1 warrior token with vigilance. It's just so that you can help put blockers out or swarm the board and then go wide and just swarm out your opponent. I got 2 of those in there, so every time you cast a creature, if you have both out, you will get 2 1/1s. Now for the rares. The first one's Countryside Crusher. It is a 3 to cast 3/3. He's in there specifically for that, not really his ability. His ability is relevant, but not too relevant. It says at the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it in your graveyard, and repeat this process. So it can happen more than once. But the part that's a bonus is whenever a land is put into your graveyard from anywhere, and that's important to remember for later, just a little bit later, put a +1/+1 counter on him, so he gets bigger. So, the reason why he's in here is I've been an advocate to help beginners learn how making your draws better by getting land out of your deck and either into play, or in this case, this is in your graveyard. It's not as great to put it in your graveyard as it is to put it in the play or in your hand, but at least later in the game, it gets rid of bad draws specifically. And remember, this is during your upkeep. So, you know for a fact when he's out, you're not drawing a land. So you play him mid to late game when you don't need the land anymore, and he's out there and he's growing bigger and bigger. The next one up was Solemn Recruit. It is a 3 to cast 2/2 double strike. Good converter mana cost for the abilities and the power toughness. It's not horrible. He also gets bigger. He has Revolt. At the beginning of your end step, if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on him. Now, remember, the other part of this deck is you have guys who sacrifice themselves or die because you can't pay the cost, but the end crop mate, or what was it? Yeah, the crop mate can bring them back. So you have guys leaving, making him bigger. You have guys coming back, doing an ability, dying again, making him bigger. So, and remember, he's double strike, so it's actually really important for him to get bigger. So you have small little intricate combos in there that can help you win the game. The next one is Ogre Battle Driver. He's a 4 to cast 3/3. He has whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, that creature gets +2/+0 at haste. Do you see where that's going? So you got the 3/2 that he's gonna die if you don't pay the cost anyway. He's, you know, a 2 to cast. You put him out there. He now gets haste +2/+0. He's now a 5/3. Or I'm sorry, a 5/2 actually. What is he? Yeah, 5/2. You're attacking with him. He's dying. You're doing 2 damage. You're bringing him back. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. And then for the special card, Dictate of the Twin Gods. It's a foil. I always put these in whenever I have a chance to. It's got flash, and the flash is important because that is where you surprise your opponent, put it out either at the end of their turn, or you put it in play, attack in, and hope that it's enough to kill them. And if not, you use a shock for 4, because that's what this card does. It makes shocks 1 to cast for 4 damage. So, alright, we are a red-white deck, so it's going to be Plains and Mountains, and 2 faux fetches. The faux fetches in this deck, yes, we're an aggro deck, but we're not entirely just pure aggro. We're a little bit of combo with the, you know, bringing creatures back, having them die, do 2 damage. I do realize that they're not optimal for this deck. They're not optimal for any deck because, you know, that's why they're only worth 2 cents. But I want to get the draws to be better. Yes, it would be better to get, you know, a real fetch of some sort, but hey, this is budget decks, baby. And of course, Boros, because, you know, Boros is Boros, red-white. So I've got a playset of the Boros Guild Gates in there. So that is the Ultimate Warriors. The budget deck for this, the last budget deck actually for this set. I will have more to come. Just stay tuned. Be patient. I'll get them built and I'll get the videos up.